Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here are your hosts, Erin Summers and Todd Graffanini.
Welcome to the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. Erin Summers here with Luke McCown. Again, getting to watch practice, getting to be a part of the team once again. And I like how you are outfitted now in a ton of Saints gear. So it sounds like you went by the equipment room, got some gear from Bum, so I love that. Being out here in the Superdome, getting to watch the guys on the field, kind of memories does that bring back for you?
Oh, man. I was fortunate enough to play in a lot of different organizations, and this is the one I identify with, the Who Dat Nation. There's something special about this place, and I don't say that when I left here and went to Dallas, like it was a completely different feel, and so like walking back in, getting all the feelings, all the emotions, all the butterflies, all the same stuff. And so it's a special place. I was talking to Scott Tolzien just a little while ago, who's our quarterback coach now, and he played in a couple of different organizations, and just asking him how his time here has been so far, and he said, "Man, there's just an aura about the dome, about the city, about the organization," and I think that's felt throughout. If you talk to Brandon Cooks, if you talk to guys that have had stints other places and then come back, or have been other places and then got here, there's just something different. Mm-hmm. And so you feel it even more, the excitement around Kellen Moore, the excitement around this draft class, all the things, Brandon Staley and this defense, and kind of the new feel that it has. I sit back and go, man, look what Drew and Sean and those guys built. And it's a testament to them and their hard work that they put into all the years of draft classes and hitting on late round picks, the Marcus Colstons and the Lance Moores and the Pierre Thomases and all the different guys that made names here, that made this place special. And that legacy's carrying on, albeit with a different coaching regime. And I think that's kind of neat.
You mentioned a different coaching regime here.
Yep.
In a couple days now, getting to watch what Kellen Moore is doing with this coaching staff, with the team. What's different about the way they're practicing and what they're doing here in training camp?
Yeah, I think, I've tried to put my finger on it. It feels more like a college practice. It's nonstop. There's no dead time. It's moving quickly, period to period. And there's not, even when there's a bad play, a sack, whatever it is, we had the officials here this week, a penalty, whatever it is, it's hey, we're moving right on to the next play. I think obviously that's strategic. There's something to that. You want to practice like we're moving on to the next play. That's how you want your players to train and feel the game. But from the standpoint of Kellen, the energy. You talk to every player and they say, man, the energy and how he can organize it and structure it in a way that doesn't run your veteran players in the ground, but it also doesn't prevent your younger players from getting reps. It's not so veteran focused that your young players aren't developing, and it's not so young player focused that your veterans feel like, well, they're just sitting around all the time. So I think that's a neat balance and one that's tough, because you have a Cam Jordan and you have Demario Davis and you have Brandon Cooks and you have guys that have a lot of snaps on their body, Alvin Kamara, and they don't need to be in every situation in practice, but they do need it. And so the balance there, I feel like Kellen does a great job of balancing that out and giving those guys the rest and the reps that they need to be ready for a season opener in just about 10 days.
Something that I've noticed too is even when the players aren't playing, because we've seen these preseason games, not everyone's playing, they're heavily involved in what's going on the sidelines. Demario Davis has a clipboard in his hand, and he is charting everything that's happening and walking around and talking to players. Eric McCoy is right there talking to each person on the offensive line constantly. You know, even out here at practice today, Alontae Taylor dealing with an injury, but he had a clipboard, and he was cheering his teammates on and very involved. It's good to see that because, they might not be able to participate or it might not be their rep, but they are still involved.
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of weird standing here watching practice, and there's a ton of smiles, like guys that genuinely love ball, genuinely want to be here, no matter what the noise is, picking us fourth in the NFC South, all this other stuff. The guys love ball, and they want to get out here and they want to work. Third preseason game is usually like, let's get this thing over with, let's get on to the real deal, right? And it doesn't feel like that. It's like, hey, we'll have another practice in a little while. Let's go practice tomorrow. And, I've been on teams where it's like, we got to practice, and there's not this excitement revolving around it. And again, I think it's a testament to Kellen. I think you've felt the buy-in from the team, albeit in a short while. I think you've felt the buy-in of his vision that he's cast for this team this year. And when you get a bunch of guys that love football, that are bought into the system, that are bought into what the vision of the head coach is, you've got a chance to be really good. And these guys seem to genuinely like each other. That's, again, you're trying to gel what's going to be a 58-man roster, whatever the roster number is now. It used to be 53, but you're trying to gel all these things, all these personalities together to get them to work as a unit, not necessarily a special teams or a defensive or an offensive, but as a team, as a whole unit. And it seems like they've done that very quickly here.
Yeah, it does seem like the team really enjoys being around each other, and it started early in the off season with them having their own activities outside of practices where the players were taking it upon themselves to get their position groups or some of the new guys even together, so they felt a part of things early on in this with the new coaching staff and the new players that we're seeing. All right, let's talk about what happened, inside the lines here. We went through a regular practice, so there was the walkthrough, individual drills, some special teams work, some scripted work. There was some 7-on-7 stuff in the red zone. Then they went into full team, and then at the end was more of a unscripted call it period. I think it was probably 2-minute drill. I mean, the clocks weren't really working in here, so I'm not sure what the clock was, but seemed like it was an end-of-game situation. And Spencer Rattler ended up running with the 1s, Tyler Shuck the 2s, then Jake Hainer came in with the 3s for some reps. But something that we've seen a couple times throughout camp is the 1s going against the 2s, where it's the first team offense against the second team defense, and then they would switch where second team offense goes up against the second team defense. And I asked you kind of the benefit of that once we got done with practice. So kind of want you to break that down for us here.
So, coaches aren't, they have reasons for everything that they do, right? Good coaches do. And so somebody would say, well, why is Tyler having to work with the 2s against the 1s defense? Doesn't that handcuff him a little bit? Doesn't that put him at a disadvantage? And the answer is yes, it does.
Yeah, he got sacked 3 plays in a row by 3 different, Brian Brzee, Ugo Amadi, I think Carl Granderson, like they were definitely flying at him.
Absolutely. And that's the point, right? Is to see how he reacts, how he responds in situations where you're outnumbered, as it were. Your back's against the wall. You don't have all the pieces. Can you still operate? Does it frustrate you? Does it make you, do your eyes drop? Are you not seeing coverage anymore? All the different things. And so, and then look, I mean, can you elevate the level of the play of everybody else around you? Those are all pieces of the evaluation that happen as a young player, and not just for the quarterback. I mean, for the right tackle, for the X receiver, for the running back, can he pick up all the different things? And so it's all purposeful. Just let's talk about the quarterback from that standpoint. Can his eyes move quickly from one spot to the next? And I told you, it's not always about did he complete the pass. It's can his brain speed up and process what we want him to process in terms of a progression or a read. Can he get to that spot quicker? They know. I'm working with a ones corner on a twos receiver, and so the coverage is going to be tighter, or he's going to be covered altogether. Whatever it is, they understand that. Coaches understand that. They want to see if you can process quicker because the windows open and close faster. Same thing for a running back. The windows on a double team block or a dual block up to a linebacker is going to close for a running back reading his way through a lot quicker with a ones defense than it's going to on a twos defense. It's just the way it works. And so I felt like there were some good things that came from it. Ultimately the practice tape will show the coaches what they wanted to see from those younger players going against a ones defense.
Yeah, I think at one point Shuck was looking at 2 and 26, but then the defense, there was a penalty, so they were able to move up the field a little bit, and he still led them to scoring at the end of that drive. It was a field goal, but despite, being pushed back several times within the drive, they still ended up with points, so that's always good to see. Spencer Rattler did as well.
A move, rolled left, made a great throw. I forget who caught the ball on the far sideline. Rolled left, and so he showed the poise. He showed the ability to get out and do what he does athletically. Like I said, he's got all the tools you want. We want him to speed things up a little bit, and that comes with time on task. It'll come. It will come. You got to be patient with it. He's still, albeit a higher round draft pick, but he's still a rookie. And so I think the sky's the limit for that young man. I think he can be really good.
Mm-hmm. When Spencer was leading his two series that he got, first one ended up with a field goal, second one touchdown to Chris Olave. So he was successful in both of his drives. Earlier, though, in the practice, you said, at this point in preseason, we don't get to see the starters, but you do hear in the practices. What stood out to you about maybe some of the players that we haven't seen take the field in a game yet? Yeah,
listen, Brandon Cooks still has plenty of life left. I just watched him. They were going through their post-practice sprint drills with a 1080 sprint machine that kind of measures speed with resistance. And here he is at year 12, and he had the highest speed at like 19.2 miles per hour. And somebody goes, well, that's not very fast. Yeah, but the resistance was like 12 pounds or 16 pounds of resistance. So he's running 19 miles per hour in a 10-yard sprint. So he's got plenty of life left, and to see him go out and run routes and be so crisp. You mentioned it. There's just something different about the way that he moves. That's been his special power. His superpower since he entered the league was you just don't run 4.2 for nothing. Mm-hmm. Like guys that do that are different. And then the way he's taking care of his body. So watching him get out, catch some balls, run as he reads, understanding he's playing a little bit different role than he has in other places with regards to crossing routes and stuff like that. But then understanding his role, obviously, in the wide receiver room as a mentor. But the Cam Jordans, the Demario Davises, these guys that are still going, that have appear to have plenty of tread left on their tires, mm-hmm. and watching what they do again. Usually heading into the last preseason game, it's like, hey, you guys are only getting ready for Arizona Cardinals, and they're out here practicing and getting reps and full speed. They're setting the tone for a young team, and it's going to be exciting to watch this young team galvanize and grow and take follow these guys that are putting it on the line for them. We
saw a bunch of different players making plays throughout practice, from first team, second team, third team. It's got to be tough when you pull back and you know that at the end of this weekend are cuts.
Yeah.
How hard is that decision? And maybe even in some of these position groups, the running backs behind Alvin Kamara, the linebackers behind Demario Davis and Pete Werner. Right now, the cornerbacks, you have a couple injuries. Terrell Burgess is able to get back on the field today, but he missed the past couple of days, and he'd been the one that had been filling in for Alontae Taylor. Same with, the offensive line. So injuries start to obviously come into play too when you're having to figure out how many people you're keeping on the roster as well. But How hard is that going to be for this team?
Yeah, really hard. There's obviously a human element to it. These guys that are working real hard to maybe fulfill a dream and an opportunity to play, an opportunity to provide for their families in a different way, all those different things. There's real emotions that go into that. It's not just football. But when we talk about the product on the field, it becomes business. And so most of these guys understand that when they hit the field, I think it's Saturday, right? The game's Saturday. That when they hit the field for this last preseason game, it's not just about the Saints evaluation. It's about 31 other teams evaluating you, looking at you. They had grades on you coming out of college. They want to see, what you did with the time that you had here in New Orleans. And so it's an unfortunate opportunity, but it's a great opportunity at the same time, where you get to go out and audition, put your best foot forward, and audition for 31 other teams that, like you said, there's going to be injuries come up. They're going to have your information throughout the year for just that purpose. The practice squad numbers have gotten bigger over the years, so there's opportunity there. And so it's a grind. You got to keep your head down. You got to go out and make the most of your opportunities. Be ready when they come, and then you solidify your team, and you find, and it becomes a numbers game. How many offensive linemen am I going to keep? How many DBs am I going to keep? How many defensive linemen am I going to keep? How many linebackers? Who can play special teams? Who can return? Who can play on the kick cover and the field goal block? And it becomes a numbers deal. And so I don't envy Mickey Loomis or Kellen Moore at all in those decisions. Those are really hard to do, but it's part of the game. And so hopefully each guy that has had time here has gleaned a lot, has learned a lot, has grown a lot, has developed, and that they have an opportunity that if it's not here, it's somewhere else to go make a name for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always a tough time whenever anybody leaves a team. Even this past weekend when you have the trade with Colin Saunders going to the Jags, it's tough when you lose somebody that's been in the locker room, been such a personality, and contributed here as well. So it's going to be bittersweet knowing that the regular season is here when the cuts are done, and we know who the team is and what we're going to be working with this year. And I think we all have exciting, good things ahead. We're looking forward to it.
It's going to be a great year. I think the old black and gold is going to surprise some people this year.
All right. I like that. That's why we have you here. I appreciate you so much for the insight. This has been the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.